Hello. Okay. Hello to you. Yeah. I don't know why I decided to do a live stream now. It is already evening. I would say even it is a real evening. Maybe because I was bored and I was feeling that I'm doing my evening not so productive, and as a result I wanted to read just online a book because I didn't read today at all. I wanted, but I was very lazy, and sometimes you have such mood when you want to be productive but in reality you're not, and that is my situation. I want to check at first at the beginning connection. It would be nice to see, and it would be nice to know how good connection is. And of course, yes, I see that we have nice connection. I see already people, some of you. Actually, I was not expecting that this time somebody will watch me, because as you know I'm not doing a lot of live streams now. I'm a little bit into myself, and I'm not doing this too often these days. But I'm glad to see you. Thank you, Alison. Thank you, Alison, for your message. I'm glad to see you. Thank you a lot for your greetings. Hello, Aleks. Glad to see you. Glad to see you too. Yes, heart to you. Thank you a lot. It's nice to see you. I'm glad to see you, Kat. Glad to see you, Kat, soon. Привет, Alex. How's the Twilight universe going on? Actually, that's what is my plan. My plan now, just to read a little bit Twilight. I think I will read maybe 30 minutes, no more, maybe 40 minutes, I don't know. It would be nice to read at least one chapter. Usually I'm reading slow, I'm reading out loud, but I don't know. I enjoy this. Hello to Sam Smith Q. Heart to you. Thank you, Sam Smith Q. Thank you a lot for your support. I'm glad to see you. I'm always glad to see you. Thank you for so much what you've done for me. I appreciate this, and I expect that tomorrow, from myself, I at least expect to do live stream about TOEFL and related to the TOEFL material to look online, but it will be not before going to sleep. I plan to do this during the day because I hope it will work out well and I will be able to do this. But thank you, haha. I'm half cat member. I'm half cat, remember. I'm a night owl. Yes, I know. Your cat? What can I expect from the cat? Thank you, of course. Thank you for your presence. And Alison asking, hope you have been doing well. I hope to. As much as I can. Thank you. Sam Smith Q said, we await your next TOEFL live stream. Thank you a lot. Yeah, I know I need to be consistent, and actually I'm trying to be. Just I'm not always so out these days. I'm not always live these days because sometimes happiness needs silence. Maybe needs silence. and I was enjoying my loneliness in some way. I was enjoying to be alone. I like to be alone, actually, and I want to create environments when I will be extremely alone, but it is difficult to do because I by myself breaking this rule. Instead of being alone, sometimes I go to the cafe outside, and in a lot of ways I am breaking this lot. Yeah. But what we will do now? We will do now reading. I will show you my setup. Here you can see amazing, just amazing screen. On this screen you can see chapter 4. Chapter 4, it is New Moon, second book. Eventually I somehow, despite all my laziness, despite all my slow reading, I was able to finish first book. I can show you my first book, can I? I don't know. I think I can. But yes. First book was called Twilight, and yes, that's how it looks like. It had more than 400 pages, if I'm not mistaken, and I read this book quite well. What I mean by quite well, I understood a lot. Every time when I was not understanding something, I was receiving support from Sam Smith Q because I was reading on another channel, and Sam Smith Q was giving me sometimes explanations for some certain words, and yeah, it was useful for me. Now my plan, I don't know, just to read a little bit, just to have fun, and at the same time, I don't know, because I did this quite spontaneous, just, I don't know, I was thinking that I'm killing my time by scrolling. It's like an addiction on Instagram. That's one of the reasons why sometimes I'm deleting my social medias, because I do not feel that I'm extremely productive. And actually I feel sometimes that I'm wasting my time, but at the same time I cannot focus on something good. And that's why I hope that now with you I will be able to read this, and that is my goal. Okay, what we will do now? We will read maybe yes, we will read maybe how much? To 20 pages. It would be ideal. It would be ideal to read 20 pages. Okay, I will make it like this. Let's do it. Okay, chapter 4. Missed you, I got cut off. It's okay, thank you, I missed you too, thank you a lot, and glad to see you. You have accomplished so much, Alex, you are not wasting your time. Sometimes I think that it is normal to have such feeling. It is normal. It's not like I think it is a good feeling that to have it. Okay, let's go. By the way, before starting reading, I want to tell you that it would be nice if you will leave like, would be nice. You can leave your message in our Eagle community, would be really cool. Also, you can find Amazon wishlist. I added there a lot of books. I'm trying to read these books now, and of course, reading a book by holding it, it's always enjoyable to touch a book. That's why if you have opportunity, you can find books on Amazon wish list in description below. And yes, it is kind of story time, and I read already. Oh, it looks like 90 pages, but it is less because I read 3 chapters. Let's go. And it's not necessary to be with me all the time because I know that you need to go to sleep. If you want to go to sleep, I advise you to go to sleep. I'm doing this more like, if you do not want to go to sleep, do not go. Stay with me, listen me, and correct me if you have energy for this, because before going to sleep, I know that it is evening. People want to sleep. My goal, to read out loud, to improve my pronunciation, to find new words, it is number 2. And of course, to improve my speaking skill and to improve my reading skill. That's why I'm reading sometimes out loud. I'm thinking about this as important tool of improving my English skills. I don't know, that's how I was studying before. I was watching a lot and I tried to read. Let's jump into this. Yeah, likes, Amazon wishlist, and yeah, amazing mood. Okay. Time passes. Oh my gosh, I need to drink water. Why it is like this? I feel that I want to drink wine. Before I didn't want to drink anything, but I started to talk online and immediately I want to drink something. Okay. Time passes even when it seems impossible. Even when each tick of the second hand aches like the pulse of blood behind a bruise. It passes unevenly, in strange lurches and dragging lulls, but pass it does, even for me. Charlie's first came down on the table. That's it, Bella. I'm sending you home. I looked up from my cereal, which I was pondering rather than eating, and stared at Charlie in shock. I hadn't been following their conversation actually. I hadn't been aware that we were having a conversation, and I wasn't sure what he meant. I am home, I mumbled, confused. I'm sending you to Renee, to Jacksonville, he clarified. Charlie watched with exasperation as I slowly... Wow. What is going on here? One moment. Maybe I should move this a little bit. Like that. As I slowly grasped the meaning of his words. What did I do? I felt my face crumple. It was so unfair. My behavior had been above reproach for the past 4 months. After that first week, which neither of us ever mentioned, I hadn't missed a day of school or work. My grades were perfect. I never broke curfew. I never went anywhere from which to break curfew in the first place. I only very rarely served leftovers. Charlie was scowling. You didn't do anything. That's the problem. You never do anything. You want me to get into trouble? I wondered, my eyebrows pulling together in mystification. I made an effort to pay attention. It wasn't easy. I was so used to tuning everything out. My ears felt stopped up. Trouble would be better than this moping around all the time. That stung a bit. I'd been careful to avoid all forms of moroseness, mopping including. I'm not mopping around. Wrong word. He grudgingly conceded. Mopping would be better. That would be doing something. You're just a lifeless Bella. I think that's the words I want. This accusation stuck me. I sighed and tried to put some animation into my response. I'm sorry, Dad. My apology sounded a little flat even to me. I'd thought I'd been fooling him. Keeping Charlie from suffering was the whole point of all this effort. How depressing to think that the effort had been wasted. I don't want you to apologize. I sighed. Then tell me what you do want me to do, Bella. He hesitated, scrutinizing my reaction to his next words. Honey, you're not the first person to go through this kind of thing, you know. I know that. My accompanying grimace was limp and unimpressive. Listen, honey, I think that maybe you need some help. Help? He paused, searching for the words again. When your mother left, he began frowning. And took you with her? He inhaled deeply. Well, that was a really bad time for me. I know that, I mumbled. But I handled it, he pointed out. Honey, you're not handling it. I waited. I hoped it would get better. He stared at me and I looked down quickly. I think we both know it's not getting better. Better. I'm fine. He ignored me. Maybe if you talk to someone about it, a professional. You want me to see a shrink? My voice was a shade sharper as I realized what he was getting at. Maybe it would help, and maybe it wouldn't help one little bit. I didn't know much about psychoanalysis, but I was pretty sure that it didn't work unless the subject was relatively honest. Sure, I could tell the truth if I wanted to spend the rest of my life in a padded cell. He examined my obstinate expression and switched to another line of attack. It's beyond me, Bella. Maybe your mother. Look, I said in a flat voice. I'll go out tonight, if you want. I'll call Jess or Angela. That's not what I want, he argued, frustrated. I don't think I can live through seeing you try harder. I've never seen anyone trying so hard. It hurts to watch. I pretended to be dense, looking down at the table. I don't understand that. First you're mad because I am not doing anything, and then you say you don't want me to go out. I want you to be happy. No, not even that much. I just want you not to be miserable. I think you'll have a better chance if you get out of Forks. My eyes flashed up with the first small spark of feeling I'd had in too long to contemplate. I'm not leaving, I said. Why not? He demanded. I'm in my last semester of school. It would screw everything up. You're a good student. You will figure it out. I don't want to crowd Mom and Phil. Your mother's been dying to have you back. Florida is too hot. His fist came down on the table again. We both know what's really going on here, Bella, and it's not good for you. He took a deep breath. It's been months. No calls, no letters, no contact. You can't keep waiting for him. I glowered at him. The heat almost, but not quite, reached my face. It had been a long time since I'd flushed with any emotion. This whole subject was utterly forbidden, as he was well aware. I'm not waiting for anything. I don't expect anything. I say it in a low monotone. Bella, Charlie began, his voice thick. I have to get to school, I interrupted, standing up and yanking my untouched breakfast from the table. I dumped my bowl in the sink without pausing to wash it out. I couldn't deal with any more conversation. I'll make plans with Jessica. I called over my shoulder as I strapped on my school bag, not meeting his eyes. Maybe I won't be home for dinner. We'll go to Port Angeles and watch a movie. I was out the front door before he could react. In my haste to get away from Charlie, I ended up being one of the first ones to school. The plus side was that I got a really good parking spot. The downside was that I had free time on my hands, and I tried to avoid free time at all costs. Yeah, it looks like she's trying to avoid all type of connection with people, and it looks like I feel that her depression of Bella after Edward left her depression is still going on, months and months going on. Yes, it is of course how emotions works, but yeah. Aleks, that word is pronounced struck. Struck? Oh gosh. Yeah, thank you. Aleks Live, slightly confused. What book are you on? The first book on the second book. New Moon. It is the second book. Sorry, Allison. It is the second book. It is called Twilight because I already read book number 1. Twilight. I read. I had physical copy of this book, and I finished these 400 pages. At this moment, I'm reading PDF file of New Moon book. It is second book. I know that I'm reading quite slowly, but it is the process that I'm doing by my own pace. I know, of course, that some people would say like, oh, it is too slow. You're doing this extremely slow, la 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 la. But for me, it is my pace. It is how I was doing things in a lazy way, maybe. But yes, at least, yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's go. Quickly, before I could start thinking about Charlie's accusations, I pulled out my calculus book. I flipped it open to the section we should be starting today and tried to make sense of it. Reading math was even worse than listening to it, but I was getting better at it. In the last several months, I'd spent 10 times the amount of time on calculus than I'd ever spent on math before. As a result, I was managing to keep in the range of a low A. I knew Mr. Warner felt my improvement was all due to his superior teaching methods, and if that made him happy, I wasn't going to burst his bubble. I forced myself to keep at it until the parking lot was full, and I ended up rushing to English. We were working on Animal Farm, an easy subject matter. I didn't mind communism. It was a welcome change from the exhausting romances that made up most of the curriculum. I settled into my seat, pleased by the distraction of Mr. Bertie's lecture. It looks like Animal Farm actually was recommended to me by our English teacher. I wasn't questioning, not sure how that came up. I think you're doing an amazing job. You're reading fluently and interpreting. You deserve an A+. A plus. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you a lot. You make me laugh. Yeah. Actually, I don't know. I don't know. Interesting compliments. Plus, I don't know what kind of mark I would have because when I was studying at university, I always had not so good grades in English. They were good, but not so good. Like it is like we do not have ABC letters grades in Russia. We have more like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up to 5. And the same, like, at school, I had like 4. Usually it is good, but not amazing. Yeah, thank you. Okay. I settled into my seat, pleased by the distraction of Mr. Bertie's lecture. Time moved easily while I was in school. The bell rang all too soon. I started repacking my bag. Bella? I recognized Mike's voice, and I knew what his next words would be before he said them. Are you working tomorrow? I looked up. He was leaning across the aisle with an anxious expression. Every Friday he asked me the same question. Never mind that I hadn't taken so much as a sick day. Well, with one exception months ago, but he had no reason to look at me with such concern. I was a model employee. Tomorrow is Saturday, isn't it? I said, having just had it pointed out to me by Charlie. I realized how lifeless my voice really sounded. Yeah, it is, he agreed. See you in Spanish. He waved once before turning his back. He didn't bother walking me to class anymore. I trudged off to calculus with a grim expression. This was the class where I sat next to Jessica. It had been weeks, maybe months, since Jess had even greeted me when I passed her in the hall. I knew I had offended her with my antisocial behavior, and she was sulking. It wasn't going to be easy to talk to her now, especially to ask her to do me a favor. I weighed my options carefully as I loitered outside the classroom, procrastinating. I wasn't about to face Charlie again without some kind of social interaction to report. I knew I couldn't lie, though the thought of driving to Port Angeles and back alone, being sure my odometer reflected the correct mileage, just in case he checked, was very tempting. Jessica's mom was the biggest gossip in town, and Charlie was bound to run into Mrs. Stanley sooner rather than later. When he did, he would no doubt mention the trip. Line was out. With a sigh, I shoved the door open. Mr. Wagner gave me a dark look. He'd already started the lecture. I hurried to my seat. Jessica didn't look up as I sat next to her. I was glad that I had 15 minutes to mentally prepare myself. This class flew by even faster than English. A small part of that speed was due to my goody preparation this morning in the truck, but mostly it stemmed from the fact that time always sped up when I was looking forward to something unpleasant. I grimaced when Mr. Warner dismissed the class 5 minutes earlier. He smiled like he was being nice. Jess? My nose wrinkled as I cringed, waiting for her to turn on me. She twisted in her seat to face me, eyeing me incredulously. Are you talking to me, Bella? Of course. I widened my eyes to suggest innocence. What? Do you need help with calculus? Her tone was a tad sore. No, I shook my head. Actually, I wanted to know if you would go to the movies with me tonight. I really need a girls' night out. The words sounded stiff, like badly derived lines, and she looked suspicious. Why are you asking me? She asked, still unfriendly. You're the first person I think of when I want girl time. I smiled, and I hoped the smile looked genuine. It was probably true. She was at least the person I thought of when I wanted to avoid Charlie. It amounted to the same thing. She seemed a little mollified. Well, I don't know. Do you have plans? No, I guess I can go with you. What do you want to see? I'm not sure. What's playing? I hedged. This was the tricky part. I racked my brain for a clue. Hadn't I heard someone talk about a movie recently? Seen a poster? How about that one with the female president? She looked at me oddly. Bella, that one's been out of the theater forever. Oh, I frowned. Is there anything you'd like to see? Jessica's natural bubbliness started to leak out in spite of herself as she thought out loud. Well, there's that new romantic comedy that's getting great reviews. I want to see that one, and my dad just saw Dead End, and he really liked it. I grasped at the promising title. What's that one about? Zombies or something. He said it was the scariest thing he'd seen in years. That sounds perfect. I'd rather deal with real zombies than watch a romance. Okay. She seemed surprised by my response. I tried to remember if I liked scary movies, but I wasn't sure. Do you want me to pick you up after school? She offered. Sure. Jessica smiled at me with tentative friendliness before she left. My answering smile was just a little late, but I thought that she saw it. The rest of the day passed quickly. My thoughts focused on planning for tonight. I knew from experience that once I got Jessica talking, I would be able to get away with a few mumbled responses at the appropriate moments. Only minimal interaction would be required. The thick haze that blurred my days now was sometimes confusing. I was surprised when I found myself in my room, not clearly remembering the drive home from school or even opening the front door. But that didn't matter. Losing track of time was the most I asked from life. I didn't fight the haze as I turned to my closet. The numbness was more essential in some places than in others. I barely registered what I was looking at as I slid the door aside to reveal the pile of rubbish on the left side of my closet, under the clothes I never wore. Okay, let's drink a little bit of water, and I want to cut a little bit my amazing how's called screen. And while I'm doing this, I want to remind you that it would be nice if you will support me by giving your likes and giving your messages. It would be nice to see your likes. And of course, I want to tell you that one of the thing when I'm reading in English, the reason why I'm reading slowly and out loud, because I need sometimes time to process what I'm reading. I know that sometimes people can read in their mind. They can read this by looking at the page, by scrolling from sentence to sentence, from paragraph to paragraph, from word to word. They're doing this fast, their eyes running over the text. But it is requiring a lot of focus, concentration. What I'm doing here, it is opposite. I would say it is lazy approach. I like to think more thoughtfully and sometimes to imagine what is going on. And for me, every time when I'm reading in English, I need to think more than you. I mean, because I know that for me, when I'm reading in Russian language, I can do this pretty effortlessly. I can do this naturally, to read by looking, like only by using my eyes, to convert these sentences, letters, paragraphs into meaning, into something, into one picture. I can do this naturally by, like, when I'm reading in Russian. But with English, everything is a little bit different. I feel that I cannot jump over my head. I cannot just look around the text, and it requires more efforts for me. After 10 minutes of such reading, I feel that I'm already tired and I want to go to sleep actually. And as a result, I feel that it's more complicated, it's more difficult process reading in my head in English in some way It's exhausting for me. It is energy taking, a lot of energy taking process. But yes, thank you. That jacket with the color t-shirt looks GQ. GQ? Thank you. What does it mean, GQ? I don't know. But thank you. It is nice. I hope that it means something good. Okay, yes. And you're lazy, you're doing freaking. Thank you. You're not lazy. Thank you. I was thinking you're lazy. You're not lazy. Thank you. Actually, I am lazy because today I was avoiding studying at all. Sometimes you know that moment when you need to do something, but you're avoiding this by doing something else. And like for example, doing laundry, scrolling in Instagram, watching some videos, watching news, you somehow delaying something that you must do right now. And in my situation, I like reading. Don't take me wrong, but sometimes I'm like doing this in the last moment, and it is about me. Thank you, Alison. Thank you a lot. Being neurodivergent, I tend to read aloud too. If I don't read too fast and can't always retain it as well. And cannot always retain it as well. Yeah, it is requiring sometimes effort, and these efforts, I don't know, and just about okay, let's try to continue reading what we started. And let's go. My eyes did not stray toward the black garbage bag that held my present from that last birthday, did not see the shape of the stereo where it strained against the black plastic. I didn't think of the bloody mess my nails had been when I'd finished clawing it out of the dashboard. I yanked the old purse I rarely used off the nail it hung from and shoved the door shut. Just then I heard a horn honking. I swiftly retreated my wallet from my school bag into the purse. I was in a hurry, as if rushing would somehow make the night pass more quickly. I glanced at myself in the hall mirror before I opened the door, arranging my features carefully into a smile and trying to hold them there. "Thanks for coming with me tonight," I told Jess as I climbed into the passenger seat, trying to infuse my tone with gratitude. It had been a while since I'd really thought about what I was saying to anyone besides Charlie. Jess was harder. I wasn't sure which were the right emotions to fake. "Sure, so what brought this on?" Jess wondered as she drove down my street. "Brought what on?" "Why did you suddenly decide to go out?" It sounded like she changed her question halfway through. I shrugged. "Just needed a change." I recognized the song on the radio then and quickly reached for the dial. "Do you mind?" I asked. "No, go ahead." "Hello to Fat Feline. You're picking up figures of speech quite well, such as "Don't fake me wrong." Oh, sorry, don't take me wrong. Oh, thank you, thank you. Actually, I don't know how to say this. It just came to my mind. Sometimes it's just happening naturally. I'm not thinking. But when I need to say something smart, I cannot do this. It's always like I feel pressure when, for example, if some people asking you, say something good, something, use your like imagination and try to use idioms, and I'm like, oops, I don't know any idioms. I don't know how to use them, and it's working every time. Every time I cannot say when I need to say, but when I'm talking casually, I can say this like effortlessly, even without noticing. And I like, of course, that sometimes I can use it, but actually it is like not so often happening with me. Yeah, but thank you for noticing this. I scanned through the stations until I found one that was harmless. I picked at Jesse's expression as the new music filled the car. Her eyes squinted. "Since when do you listen to rap?" "I don't know," I said. "A while." "You like this?" she asked doubtfully. "Sure." It would be much too hard to interact with Jessica normally if I had to work to tune out the music too. I nodded my head, hoping I was in time with the beat. "Okay." She stared out the windshield with wide eyes. "So what's up with you and Mike these days?" I asked quickly. "You see him more than I do." The question hadn't started her talking like I'd hoped it would. "It's hard to talk at work," I mumbled, and then I tried again. "Have you been out with anyone lately?" "Not really. I go out with Connor sometimes. I went out with Eric 2 weeks ago." She rolled her eyes, and I sensed a long story. I clutched at the opportunity. "Eric Yorkie?" "Who asked who?" She groaned, getting more animated. He did, of course. I couldn't think of a nice way to say no. "Ah, feline. Feline. Feline, I'm sorry. Yes, I do these mistakes. Feline." Thank you. Thank you for correcting me. I appreciate this, Sam Smith girl. Thank you. "Where did he take you?" I demanded, knowing she would interpret my eagerness as interest. "Tell me all about it." She launched into her tale, and I settled into my seat, more comfortable now. I paid strict attention, murmuring in sympathy and gasping in horror as called for. When she was finished with her Eric story, she continued into a Connor comparison without any prodding. The movie was playing early, so Jess thought we should hit the twilight showing and eat later. I was happy to go along with whatever she wanted. After all, I was getting what I wanted, Charlie off my back. I kept just talking through the previews so I could ignore them more easily. But I got nervous when the movie started. A young couple was walking along a beach, swinging hands and discussing their mutual affection with gooey falseness. Maybe it was goofy falseness. I resisted the urge to cover my ears and start humming. I had to bargain for a romance. I feel that here was some kind of misspelling, or maybe it is just my imagination. I think that here was goofy falseness. Can it be so? Yes, because it looks more logical. It looks more somehow meaningful. Yeah? Okay. Unfortunately, monolingual English speakers are notorious for using idioms by the English language learners. Yeah, I feel that a lot of times that for me it's not so simple to use them when speaking to. Yeah. I thought we picked the zombie movie. I hissed to Jessica. This is the zombie movie. Then why isn't anyone getting eaten? I asked desperately. She looked at me with wide eyes that we were almost alarmed. I'm sure that part's coming, she whispered. I'm getting popcorn. Do you want any? No, thanks. Someone shushed us from behind. I took my time at the concession counter, watching the clock and debating what percentage of 90-minute movie could be spent on romantic exposition. I decided 10 minutes was more than enough, but I paused just inside the theater doors to be sure. I could hear horrified screams blaring from the speakers, so I knew I'd waited long enough. You missed everything, Jess murmured when I slid back into my seat. Almost everyone is a zombie now. Long line. I offered her some popcorn. She took a handful. The rest of the movie was comprised of gruesome zombie attacks and endless screaming from the handful of people left alive, their numbers dwindling quickly. I would have thought there was nothing in that to disturb me, but I felt uneasy and I wasn't sure why at first. By the way, I wanted to tell a couple of things. I cannot say that here in Houston I'm going so often to the cinema. I don't know why. Maybe I even don't know what kind of movies they're showing now there. It's strange actually. I went to the cinema here only once, and it was Barbie. It was like 1 year ago they were showing it, so I don't remember. But now I have no clue what they're showing. I know that they were showing there last time, when I was going to the some of fast food places, they were advertising the dragon, something about this. But again, interesting will be, it would be nice to know when you last time went to the movie theater and what movie did you watch, because I'm far from this, far from understanding what they show now. Would be nice to know your opinion. And while you're typing by your beautiful hands amazing messages, I encourage you to leave likes. I encourage you to find Amazon wishlist. They have the amazing books that you can support me. And yes, by the way, also just like, it's absolutely free. Your likes important. Okay, let's go. It wasn't until almost the very end as I watched a haggard zombie shambling after the last shrieking survivor, that I realized what the problem was. The scene kept cutting between the horrified face of the heroine and the dead, emotionless face of your pursuer. Back and forth as it closed the distance. Oh, oh, Alex, you're missing nothing. Though I did like the How to Train Your Dragon live action remake. Oh, How to Train the Dragon. Yes, that's what they were showing. I think that it was, but I didn't watch it. Thank you for sharing, Sam Smith Q. And I see your message, Allison. Thank you for showing it. And you said the last movie I saw in the theater was Maverick. It was awesome, and I love jets. Maverick. I think that I was. Wow, Maverick. Looks like it was a while ago. Maybe they had new remake or something like that, no? Yes. Actually, yeah, I remember it was 1 year ago, maybe 1.5, when I was last time in the cinema. And actually, it's not, I cannot say that I am I like movies a lot. But considering that now you can watch everything at home by using your, I don't know, some subscription on Netflix, on Amazon Prime. So you can watch everything at home, whatever you want. Yeah, it is interesting. Okay, let's go. Let's continue our reading. And I realized which one resembled me the most. I stood up. Where are you going? There's like 2 minutes left, Jess hissed. I need a drink, I muttered as I raced for the exit. I sat down on the bench outside the theater door and tried very hard not to think of the irony. But it was ironic, all things considered, that in the end I would wind up as a zombie. I hadn't seen that one coming. No, that I hadn't dreamed of becoming a mythical monster once, just never a grotesque animated corpse. I shook my head to dislodge that train of thought, feeling panicky. I couldn't afford to think about what I'd once dreamed of. It was depressing to realize that I wasn't the heroine anymore, that my story was over. Jessica came out of the theater doors and hesitated, probably wondering where the best place was to search for me. When she saw me, she looked relieved, but only for a moment. Then she looked irritated. Was the movie too scary for you? She wondered. Yeah, I agreed. I guess I am just a coward. That's funny, she frowned. I didn't think you were scared. I was screaming all the time, but I didn't hear you scream once, so I didn't know why you left. I shrugged. Just scared. And yes, I see your message, Allison. You say that it's awesome in the theater, but yes, it is a different experience to watch at home now. Yeah, I think that at home you can, I don't know. I do not have TV for watching movies. I'm using my laptop. And what can I say? Size of the screen matters when you're watching. In the like my screen not so big on laptop, but it is. I'm watching this on my bed, and it's as a result it is making everything convenient. In cinema, it's all about selling something. selling popcorn, selling cola, selling candies and hot dogs, whatever they're selling, and it's all about selling. I It's all about also hanging out with your friends. Maybe I will go one day to the cinema here, but I don't know. Usually, a Russian speaking community, I don't know, do they go to the cinema at all or not? I don't know. Probably they go. Because those who knows English, yes. Okay, what can I say? Watching movies always helpful. It is helpful in the way of understanding English. And by the way, I want to tell a couple things. Right now, they have special glasses in cinema. In like those who do not know English well, or those who has problems with hearing, they give additionally glasses, and they're helping only to you see captions. And I think it is kind of cool because, for example, nobody will see these captions, but you will have glasses and you will see captions on your language. For example, if you want to choose, audio will be in English for everyone, but captions will be, for example, on Russian language, or maybe on English, as you want, as you wish, or maybe on German language. That's what I found out, that some theaters, cinema theaters here in Houston, offering people, and I think it is cool. It is very cool. It's very convenient, I would say. Of course, you need to ask about these glasses before, like when you're buying tickets. Like, do you have glasses where I can see captions and stuff like that? And they will give you. Usually, at least that's what I've heard. You need to check in every theater personally. Yes, it's fine at home and convenient. The difference is for the big movies much more theatrical. But I like environments but I mean, like, I love to go to this theater. I mean, to watch cinema movies in theater. Cinema, it's better to say, or theater. I feel that cinema it is more British way. I like to go to the cinemas because of environment there. It looks cool. And American actually movies, I mean, like malls where you can find cinemas, they're exceptional. Extremely, extremely exceptional. Because I don't know. When you go there, they can have everything there, and they can have exceptional seats, very convenient, extremely cozy. They can have private balconies. Of course, it is an additional price. It is all about price, but I think it is cool. If you can afford this, why not? But yeah, I don't know. Um, I don't think that you need to overpay for balcony. Like, why? But still, you can find extremely comfort seats. Yeah, but I know that if you go with your family, like family of 7 people, it can cost a lot altogether. If you want to buy something to eat and to feel yourself comfortable, for 7 people, it can go like up to $1,000 altogether. Tickets and popcorn, candies, water, cola, drinks, whatever. it can go up pretty fast, pretty high if you have family. If I would want to go with all family where I'm living with my American family, with Heather and all of her kids, it will take $1,000 for sure. But we do not go often. I think it is too much expensive. $1,000. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is true. Some movies also require one to use 3D glass. Yeah. I don't remember when I was last time was watching 3D movies. But remember, in Russia, actually, I was going to the cinema when I was as student so often, extremely often, because as student you can buy tickets with 50% discount pretty easily, sometimes even 80% discount, and instead of paying $1 you would pay there like 50 cents at those period of time. And yes, we like to go to the cinema with the reclining seats. What does it mean, reclining seats? I don't know. Yes, it really is getting too expensive. Yes, when like for example to go to like Heather has big family. If we would go all of us seven, I don't know, people, it will be extremely. It will cost more than $1,000, and that's why to go to watch a movie to the cinema, I don't think that it is, I don't know, affordable for big family to go. Yeah, but I don't know. Some people do this. I only attend matinee shows. Matinee shows? What does it mean, matinee show? I don't know what does it mean. What does the crown represent? Actually, I don't know what crown represents. It is new Google feature. I don't know, it is a Google feature. It's something new that they created. Oops. I need to look and to read a little bit more about what crown represents. Okay, let's continue reading, because it would be nice if I will waking up 107 friends. Oh my gosh. 107 it was. Where is what? That's funnish. Yes, okay. She relaxed a little. That was the scariest movie I think I've ever seen. I'll bet we are going to have nightmares tonight. Afternoon seating. It's like position. It's like afternoon seating. Like you can scroll your. Put your legs. I don't know. To stretch yourself. Yeah. Matinee screenings are before 6 p.m. I don't know what does it mean. Actually, I really have no clue. Yeah. I'll bet we are going. Okay, no doubt about that, I said, trying to keep my voice normal. It was inevitable that I would have nightmares, but they wouldn't be about zombies. Your eyes flashed to my face and away. Maybe I hadn't succeeded with a normal voice. "Where do you want to eat?" Jess asked. "I don't care. Okay." Jess started talking about the male lead in the movie as we walked. I nodded as she gushed over his hotness, unable to remember seeing a non-zombie man at all. I didn't watch where Jessica was leading me. I was only vaguely aware that it was dark and quieter now. It took me longer than it should have to realize why it was quiet. Jessica had stopped babbling. I looked at her apologetically, hoping I hadn't hurt her feelings. Jessica wasn't looking at me. Her face was tense. She stared straight ahead and walked fast. As I watched, her eyes darted quickly to the right across the road and back again. I glanced around myself for the first time. We were on a short stretch of unlit sidewalk. The little shops lining the street were all locked up with the night windows black. Half a block ahead, the street lights started up again, and I could see further down the bright golden arches of the McDonald's she was heading for. Across the street there was one open business. The windows were covered from inside and there were neon signs. Advertisements for different brands of beer glowing in front of them. The biggest sign in brilliant green was the name of the bar, One-Eyed Pete's. I wondered if there was some pirate theme not visible from outside. The metal door was propped open. It was dimly lit inside, and the low murmur of many voices and the sound of ice clinking in glasses floated across the street. Lounging against the wall beside the door were 4 men. I glanced back at Jessica. Her eyes were fixed on the path ahead and she moved briskly. She didn't look frightened, just wary, trying to not attract attention to herself. I paused without thinking, looking back at the 4 men without a strong sense of déjà vu. This was a different road, a different night, but the scene was so much the same. One of them was even short and dark. As I stopped and turned toward them, that one looked up in interest. I stared back at him, frozen on the sidewalk. "Bella?" Jess whispered. "What are you doing?" I shook my head, not sure myself. "I think I know them," I muttered. What was I doing? I should be running from this memory as fast as I could, blocking the image of the 4 lounging men from my mind, protecting myself with a numbness I couldn't function without. Why was I stepping, dazed, into the street? It seemed too coincidental that I should be in Port Angeles with Jessica on a dark street even. My eyes focused on the short one, trying to make the features to my memory of the man who had threatened me that night almost a year ago. I wondered if there was any way I would recognize the man, if it was really him. That particular part of that particular evening was just a blur. My body remembered it better than my mind did. The tension in my legs as I tried to decide whether to run or to stand my ground. The dryness in my throat as I struggled to build a decent scream. The tight stretch of skin across my knuckles as I clenched my hands into fists. The chills on the back of my neck when the dark-haired man called me sugar. What the? There was an indefinite, implied kind of meanness to these men that had nothing to do with that other night. It sprang from the fact that they were strangers, and it was dark here, and they outnumbered us. Nothing more specific than that, but it was enough that Jessica's voice cracked in panic and she called after me, "Bella, come on." I ignored her, walking slowly forwards without ever making the conscious decision to move my feet. I didn't understand why, but the nebulous threat the man presenting drew me towards them. It was a senseless impulse, but I hadn't felt any kind of impulse in so long. I followed it. I think she's doing mistake. Like, it doesn't make any sense. She see guys, 4 of them. It looks like they're dangerous. And instead of going to another direction, opposite direction, during night, in front of some not lighted bar, like it's somewhere where people walking and drinking beer, some alcohol, she is going towards them. What can I say? Bella, you are crazy. It doesn't make any sense, actually. Doesn't make any sense. Bella, wake up. Actually, Bella, sometimes she's an annoying person. If you will think about her decisions, what she's doing, it's all about her goofy decisions, goofy choice. That's what I can say. But actually, around all her goofiness was built all this concept of these books. I can be, of course, mistaken, but it looks like this because what author could write about, because if not her stupid decisions, because around this whole concept, like some stories by, yeah, okay. And again, it's not bad. It's just you can find such type of people in real life. It's not about, of course, such type of people, but I can understand that fear can create some, I don't know, can create some unexpected ways of behavior. Like, I mean, sometimes because of fear, we do stupid things. Maybe it is exactly the same situation. Maybe I need to rethink about this, and it's maybe I would behave myself differently on her place, and maybe I would behave myself even worse than Bella is doing. Who knows? But yeah, maybe I need to change my opinion about Bella. But yes, fear can change your behavior for sure. It is 1,000,000%. Okay. Something unfamiliar beats through my veins. Adrenaline. I realized long absent from my system, drumming my pulse, faster and fighting against the lack of sensation. It was strange why the adrenaline lined, maybe, when there was no fear. It was almost as if it were an echo of the last time I'd stood like this on a dark street in Port Angeles with strangers. I saw no reason for fear. I couldn't imagine anything in the world that there was left to be afraid of. Not physically, at least. One of the few advantages of losing everything. I was halfway across the street when Jess caught up to me and grabbed my arm. Bella, you can't go in the bar, she hissed. I'm not going in, I said absently, shaking her hands off. I just want to see something. Are you crazy? She whispered. Are you suicidal? That question caught my attention and my eyes focused on her. No, I am not. It looks like she is. My voice sounded defensive, but it was true. I wasn't suicidal, even at the beginning when death unquestionably would have been a relief. I didn't consider it. I owed too much to Charlie. I felt too responsible for Anna. I had to think of them. And I had, okay, sorry, I skipped out to post against the regime, against many things, especially LGBTQ. Had to post. You must be daddy, sorry. Fighting injustice. Sorry, what? I'm trying to understand your question, your message. Sorry. Let's read again. Sorry, I skipped out to post against the regime, against many things, especially LGBTQ+. Had to post. You must be daddy. Sorry, fighting injustice. I'm trying to understand and it's not always working with me well. Okay. And I'd made a promise not to do anything stupid or reckless. For all those reasons, I was still breathing. Remembering that promise, I felt a twinge of guilt, but what I was doing right now didn't really count. It wasn't like I was taking a blade to my wrists. Jessie's eyes were round, her mouth hung open, her question about suicides had been rhetorical, I realized too late. Go eat. I encouraged her, waving toward the fast food. I didn't like the way she looked at me. I'll catch up in a minute. I turned away from her, back to the men who were watching us with amused, curious eyes. Bella, stop this right now. My muscles locked into place, froze me where I stood, because it wasn't Jessica's voice that rebuked me now. It was a furious voice, a familiar voice, a beautiful voice, soft like velvet even though it was irate. It was his voice. It was exceptionally careful not to think his name, and I was surprised that the sound of it did not knock me to my knees, did not curl me onto the pavement in a torture of loss, but there was no pain, none at all. In the instant that I heard his voice, everything was very clear, like my head had suddenly surfaced out of some dark pool. I was more aware of everything, sight, sound, the feel of the cold air that I hadn't noticed was blowing sharply against my face, the smells coming from the open bar door. I looked around myself in shock. Go back to Jessica, the lovely voice ordered, still angry. You promised nothing stupid. I was alone. Jessica stood a few feet from me, staring at me with frightened eyes against the wall. The strangers watched, confused, wondering what I was doing, standing there motionless in the middle of the street. I shook my head, trying to understand. I knew he wasn't there, and yet he felt improbably close for the first time since the end. The anger in his voice was concern, the same anger that was once very familiar, something I hadn't heard in what felt like a lifetime. Keep your promise, The voice was slipping away, as if the volume was being turned down on a radio. I began to suspect that I was having some kind of hallucination, triggered no doubt by the memory, the déjà vu, the strange familiarity of the situation. They're claiming to be daddy. Who they are claiming to be daddy? Daddy. By all means, like if we are talking about this movie and this book, it looks like Edward, his typical daddy, because if we look at his financial situation, he's very rich, and he is ready to pay for all needs of Bella. Daddy, it's usually for me, though, this person who is older and paying for bills of beloved one. And in this situation, we can see that how old is Edward? He was born in 19-something, 18. He was like 100 years plus, something like that. Dude, guy. And yes, it is true. And yeah, what can we read next, where I was left? I ran through the possibilities quickly in my head. Option 1. I was crazy. That was the layman's term for people who heard voices in their heads. Possible. Option 2. My subconscious mind was giving me what I thought I wanted. This was wish fulfillment, a momentary relief from pain by embracing the incorrect idea that he cared whether I lived or died, projecting what he would have said if A. he were here, and B. he would be in any way bothered by something bad happening to me. Probable. I could see no option 3, so I hoped it was the second option, and this was just my subconscious running amok, rather than something I would need to be hospitalized for. My reaction was hardly sane, though I was grateful. The sound of his voice was something that I'd feared I was losing, and so more than anything else I felt overwhelming gratitude that my unconscious mind had held onto that sound better than my conscious one had. I was not allowed to think of him. That was something I tried to be very strict about. Of course I slept. I was only human, but I was getting better, and so the pain was something I could avoid for days at a time now. The trade-off was the never-ending numbness between pain and nothing. I'd chosen nothing. I waited for the pain now. I was not numb. My senses felt unusually intense after so many months of the haze. But the normal pain held off. The only ache was the disappointment that his voice was fading. Trump and the followers, it's comical. Not you, Alex. You're good and amazing. Thank you. Actually, what can I say about the political thing? Last days, I'm not following what is going on now. Oh wow. These days I'm not following what is going on now in political stage. I mean, I know that something is going on, and sometimes I'm watching, but I noticed that it's somehow, in many ways, I'm losing interest these days. It's not always working like that, but I'm trying to lose interest at least about political parts, what is going on around the world. I'm trying because it is, of course, interesting, but at the same time, it's not something that I can change and we can change. It's healthier to not talk about and to not think about political thing, but at the same time, I'm understanding that sometimes it is important to be aware what is going on. Yes, I have kind of double opinion. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, but it's healthier actually to not think about all this stuff what is going on now. Yes. At this moment, I already read like how much? 20 pages? No? And we will continue read pages, of course. But before doing this, I encourage you to leave your likes, and I encourage you to leave your comments below. You can leave your message. What do you think about this, that topic? You can give me advice how I should to improve my English. Do you think that I'm reading too slow? Maybe I should try to put more emotions into my reading, because I feel that key of my reading it is to understand English better, to feel connection between words and book itself, to try to imagine this and try to analyze everything what I'm reading about, and sometimes of course try to use words, idioms from this text. And of course in this way I am lucky that Twilight, I was looking that Twilight it is for those who has level B1, it is like intermediate level in English. I think that I'm understanding majority of the thing, but if we are talking about Twilight for native speakers, it looks like they're advising this for those who is up like 7th grade at school. If you're 7th grade, 8th grade, it is good book for reading for you, and that is my level now. Even I feel that it is lower, my level in English, probably, yes, my level of teenager, that's what I would say. Even, yeah. But I enjoy this, It is understandable in many ways. Love you, Alex. You are showing a complete understanding with reading and showing emotion in your reading. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you a lot. I appreciate it. I will read a little bit more and I will finish logically. I want to finish reading logically. And what does it mean for me? I want to finish when I will finish chapter number 4, or I want to finish when I will yes, there will be logical end. In case I can finish in the middle, but I need to finish this today, this chapter for sure. It's not necessary for me to be all the way through this chapter to read with you online, something like that. We will see how it will work out. But before continuing reading, I advise you, did I tell this before? I'm not sure. You can find Amazon link below. There have a lot of books and likes, the most important thing. Brian Day It isn't good to read in bed. Reading before going to sleep is fine. It isn't good to read in bed. Yes, I agree with you. I'm not in my bed actually now. I'm not in my bed. But yes, before going to sleep, that's what I'm trying to do. Because I know that before going to sleep, usually how I'm spending my time, I'm scrolling internet. I feel that it is not good. And that's why I a little bit forced myself to read a little bit. And I was thinking if I will read out loud with you, maybe it will be beneficial somehow for myself to work in front of camera, to work with English text, and at the end of the day it will be a good finishing line of today. Okay, by the way, it's already another day started. If you want to go to sleep, I am wishing you to go to sleep, to have good night. But I will continue for a while. I could see in option 3, yes. My reaction was hardly sane, though I was grateful. The sound of his voice was something that I'd feared I was losing. And so, more than anything else, I felt overwhelming gratitude that my unconscious mind had held onto that sound better than my conscious one had. I was not allowed to think of him. That was something I tried to be very strict about. Of course, I slipped. I was only human, but I was getting better. And so the pain was something I could avoid for days at a time now. The trade-off was never-ending numbness. Between pain and nothing, I'd chosen nothing. I waited for the pain now. I was not numb. My senses felt unusually intense after so many months of the haze, but the normal pain held off. The only ache was the disappointment that his voice was fading. There was a second of choice. The wise thing would be to run away from this potentially destructive and certainly mentally unstable development. It would be stupid to encourage hallucinations. But his voice was fading. I took another step forward, testing. "Bella, turn around," he growled. I sighed in relief. The anger was what I wanted to hear, false, fabricated evidence that he cared, a dubious gift from my subconscious. Very few seconds had passed while I sorted this all out. My little audience watched curious. It probably looks like I was just dithering over whether or not I was going to approach them. How could they guess that I was standing there enjoying an unexpected moment of insanity? "Hi," one of the men called, his tone both confident and a bit sarcastic. He was fair-skinned and fair-haired, and he stood with the assurance of someone who thought of himself as quite good-looking. I couldn't tell whether he was or not. I was prejudiced. I don't know what to say. Prejudiced. The voice in my head answered with an exquisite snarl. I smiled, and the confident man seemed to take that as encouragement. "Can I help you with something?" "You look lost," he grinned and winked. I stepped carefully over the gutter running with water that was black in the darkness. No, I'm not lost. Now that I was closer and my eyes felt oddly in focus, I analyzed the short, dark man's face. It was not familiar in any way. I suffered a curious sensation of disappointment that this was not the terrible man who had tried to hurt me almost a year ago. The voice in my head was quiet now. The short man noticed my stare. "Can I buy you a drink?" He offered, nervous, seeming flattered that I had singled him out to stare at. "I am too young," I answered automatically. He was baffled, wondering why I had approached them. I felt compelled to explain. "From across the street you looked like someone I knew. Sorry, my mistake." The thread that had pulled me across the street had evaporated. These were not the dangerous men I remembered. They were probably nice guys, safe. I lost interest. "That's okay," the confident blonde said. "Stay and hang out with us." "Thanks, but I can't." Jessica was hesitating in the middle of the street, her eyes wide with outrage and betrayal. "Oh, just a few minutes." I shook my head and turned to rejoin Jessica. Okay, let's read your comments, and the way I want to remind to you how I'm reading, I don't know. I know that there are several methods how to do this, and one of them, it is fast pace. People are reading sometimes in order to read as much as more as possible. It is called sometimes speed reading. I cannot do speed reading in English, but it is not about understanding. My way, what I'm doing now, it is taking process as something, as enjoyment process, like to enjoy from process. That's what I'm trying to do. And Alison, thank you. Love you, Alex. You're showing. Thank you a lot. You're good, Alex. Thank you. I usually don't like to listen to quantum physics because it takes total understanding. I mean, without credentials. In my situation, it's difficult to read something about science. For example, behind me you can find a book. This book I can show you closer. I like how it looks like, how biology works. And I like these pictures inside. Quite understandable explanation of biology and stuff like that. Here you can find a lot of interesting things. But what can I say? These books has pictures, and pictures sometimes can help you to understand process, whatever process is. For example, if they're talking about cells, if they're talking about atmosphere, if they're talking about something else, or organisms. Pictures can help you to understand what is going on. But that's why I took this book. But it's about immersing and visualizing also. But if we are talking about text where you need to really think, scientific articles, it is more, I don't know, it is difficult. It is extremely difficult for me. For me, it's still difficult to read The Economist magazine or the New Time. How it's called? I don't even remember. It is called like New Time. New York Times, something like that. That I have difficulties with. Okay. Let's go. Let's go eat, I suggested, barely glancing at her, though I appeared to be for the moment freed of the zombie abstraction. I was just as distant. My mind was preoccupied, the safe numb deadness did not come back, and I got more anxious with every minute that passed without its return. What were you thinking? Jessica snapped. You don't know them. They could have been psychopaths. I shrugged, wishing she would let it go. I just thought I knew the one guy. You're so odd, Bella Swan. I feel like I don't know who you are. Sorry, I didn't know what else to say to that. We walked to McDonald's in silence. I'd bet that she was wishing we'd taken her car instead of walking the short distance from the theater, so that she could use the drive-thru. She was just as anxious now for this evening to be over as I had been from the beginning. I tried to start a conversation a few times while we ate, but Jessica was not cooperative. I must have really offended her. When we go back in the car, she tuned the stereo back to her favorite station and turned the volume too loud to allow easy conversation. You're doing awesome, Alex. You're loved. Thank you. My daughter graduated this year. She loves. All my kids know Alex in my house. Oh, thank you, Alison. It is very cute. It is very cute from you. Yeah. Yeah. Hello to everyone. To your house. Hello to your family. I'm glad so that it's nice. It's nice to see that some people watching sometimes. Very cute from you. Very nice. I didn't have to struggle as hard as usual to ignore the music, even though my mind for once was not carefully numb and empty. I had too much to think about to hear the lyrics. I waited for the numbness to return or the pain, because the pain must be coming. I'd broken my personal rules. Instead of shying away from the memories, I'd walked forward and greeted them. I'd heard his voice so clearly in my head that was going to cost me. I was sure of it, especially if I couldn't reclaim the haste to protect myself. I felt too alert, and that frightened me. But relief was still the strongest emotion in my body, relief that came from the very core of my being. As much as I struggled not to think of him, I did not struggle to forget. I worried late in the night, when the exhaustion of sleep deprivation broke down my defenses, that I was all slipping away, that my mind was a sieve, and I would someday not be able to remember the precise color of his eyes, the feel of his cool skin, or the texture of his voice. I could not think of them, but I must remember them. Because there was just one thing that I had to believe to be able to live. I had to know that he existed. That was all. Everything else I could endure, so long as he existed. That's why I was more trapped in Forks than I ever had been before. Why I'd fought with Charlie when he suggested a change. Honestly, it shouldn't matter. No one was ever coming back here. But if I were to go to Jacksonville or anywhere else bright and unfamiliar, how could I be sure he was real? In a place where I could never imagine him, the conviction might fade and that I could not live through. Forbidden to remember, terrified to forget, it was a hard line to walk. I was surprised when Jessica stopped the car in front of my house. The ride had not taken long, but short as it seemed. I wouldn't have thought that Jessica could go that long without speaking. "Thanks for going out with me, Jess," I said as I opened my door. "That was fun." I hope that fun was the appropriate word. "Sure," she muttered. "I'm sorry about after the movie." "Whatever, Bella." She glared out the windshield instead of looking at me. She seemed to be growing angrier rather than getting over it. "See you Monday?" "Yeah, bye." I gave up and shut the door. She drove away still without looking at me. I'd forgotten her by the time I was inside. Charlie was waiting for me in the middle of the hall, his arms folded tight over his chest with his hands balled into fists. "Hey, Dad," I said absent-mindedly as I ducked around Charlie, heading for the stairs. I'd been thinking about him for too long, and I wanted to be upstairs before it caught up with me. "Where have you been?" Charlie demanded. I looked at my dad, surprised. "I went to a movie in Port Angeles with Jessica, like I told you this morning." He grunted. "Is that okay?" He studied my face, his eyes widening as if he saw something unexpected. "Yeah, that's fine. Did you have fun?" "Sure," I said. "We watched zombies eat people. It was great." His eyes narrowed. "Night, Dad." He let me pass. I hurried to my room. I lay in my bed and a few minutes later resigned as the pain finally made its appearance. It was a crippling thing, the sensation that a huge hole had been punched through my chest, excising my most vital organs, and leaving a ragged, unhealed gash around the edges that continued to throb and bleed despite the passage of time. Rationally, I knew my lungs must still be intact, yet I gasped for air and my head spun like my efforts yielded me nothing. My heart must have been beating too, but I couldn't hear the sound of my pulse. In my ear, my hands felt blue with cold. I curled inward, hugging my ribs to hold myself together. I scrambled for my numbness, my denial, but it evaded me. And yet, I found I could survive. I was alert. I was the pain, the aching loss that radiated out from my chest, sending racking waves of hurt through my limbs and head, but it was manageable. I could live through it. It didn't feel like the pain had weakened over time, rather that I'd grown strong enough to bear it. Whatever it was that had happened tonight, and whether it was the zombies, the adrenaline, or the hallucinations that were responsible, it had woken me up. For the first time in a long time, I didn't know what to expect in the morning. What the heck? With you, can you see this? I read chapter 4. That's what I am talking about. Friends, 6, waking up, 4. What is about 120? On chapter 5 it is number, chapter 5 it is 131. Okay, I read one chapter and I think it was good to read before going to sleep. I don't know, maybe now I will read more by myself, at least one chapter. I do not feel that I want to go to sleep actually. I don't know what's wrong with me. I should go to sleep, but I do not feel that I want to go to sleep. I feel that I did, by the way, good. I was reading and I understood as much as possible, considering that I have limited knowledge in English and my vocabulary is not so wide. I was meeting in this text few words that I didn't know, but I was not stopping on them. I was not translating them because I had a feeling that I was understanding the overall message from the paragraph or from the page, because not knowing, I don't know, 7 words from one paragraph or even 5, 10, I don't know, it was not damaging somehow. It was not changing meaning of this paragraph. Yes, there were words, of course, that I didn't know, but I was not focusing on them. I was focusing on what I knew. And that helped me to go through all of this. It helped me to understand it better. Slow pace helped me to process everything in time while I'm pronouncing. And yeah, I noticed that I was not translating in my head everything. Of course, sometimes I was thinking about meaning, what does it mean, but majority, let's say like this, 50% of the time I was like taking this like it is. It's basically a kind of weighing one to the next in power. Yeah. Okay, thank you all of you for your support. At the end of this, how long I was here? Oh, 2 hours? Oh my god, it was 2 hours? I was talking and reading I think it was good. 2 hours. I was reading one chapter, 2 hours. But of course I was doing this extremely slowly. Extremely. That's what I can say. 2 hours passed. Oh my gosh. I didn't notice even. But yes. Thank you, all of you, for your support. I'm glad that I had this opportunity to be with you online. Thank you for your messages, questions, for your corrections, for your help. It would be nice if you will support me by leaving your likes. You can subscribe to this channel, but I suppose that everyone already subscribed who is watching this channel. It would be nice if you will find Amazon wishlist. I have the books and you can help me to find something what you want. Yeah, and the most important, have a good night. Have a good night, or maybe day if you have day. What can I say? Be happy. Be happy, and I'm hugging you, wishing you to be yourself. Be yourself, and as always, see you next time.